thrive around the world, notice I have found a kindred spirit, and there he is if you're watching on YouTube, bearded, smiling, waving. It's Brian Bailie. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Oh, are you kidding me? Look, I'm thankful to Mike Grevlos, who's been on the show for a while. He's the smart one of the bunch of us, and how the brain works. And out of the blue, he keeps me honest. I'll say, Brian, and out of the every so often he'll text me and say, "Yo, I didn't agree with that thing on your podcast," and I
Yeah.
love that. And then the other day, he texts me, he goes, "You've got to get this guy on your show," and this guy was you. So I'm so glad to have you.
Well, Dr. Mike Grevlos is an awesome dude. A funny story. When I met Mike, I was actually in summer vacation looking for a book to read, and I'm scrolling through Amazon, and I purchased his book. Motivation is the Way, I think is what it's called. So I'm literally on the beach, and I ordered it, and I guess he got my email, and he goes, "Thank you for doing that." And he goes, "Your tag is GameForge. Do you run that company?" I go, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "I joined it about 3 months ago." So two kindred spirits crossing paths, no clue. So that's how I met Dr. Mike.
Okay, well, tell the global audience about you, about GameForge, about Fuel, Golf.tv, all these ventures you got on the
All
go.
right. Yeah, I'm a busy guy. No, I was a college coach for almost 20 years. I coached the D3 level, D2 level, D1 level. I was the assistant coach at the University of Virginia women's golf for almost 11 years.
Hmm.
When I got out of coaching, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I still want to be
Stop.
in the golf.
I
Yeah,
need you to stop. You
yeah,
are being coy. You were in 2011, I believe it is, the National Assistant Coach of the Year.
correct. I was. So
There's
yeah.
my award behind me for Coach of the Year in '08. So,
So yes, I was. I was honored to get that, and a lot of years, a lot of hard work. But yes, I don't like talking about me. I like talking about getting
mhm.
people better. So I was a coach. I got out of it and said, what am I going to do with my life? And the one piece that I felt that as a coach I was not the best at was understanding performance completely.
All right.
Strokes gain was just kicking off. Birdie was brilliant, revolutionized data science. Tip of the cap to Birdie. I love what he's done with that, but it didn't give me the answers I was looking for day in, day out coach. So, hey, I was like, let's create a training data science program that ties in score with what it takes to train. I tapped my business partner, who's Mark Sweeney,
Mhm.
founder of Aimpoint. We're good friends. We've been friends now for 15 plus years. He said, "Hey, I would love to kind of create a venture with this." So Mark has a big background in data science. Of course, he created Aimpoint. He loves numbers. I love numbers, but I love people more. So we're a great team on that aspect, and we created GameForge. Um, what we did a little different than everybody else is we went away from the shots gain model.
Yeah.
Shots gain is brilliant to compare. For the PGA Tour, it's awesome. Everyone's playing the same event, same conditions, same times, the same. It's a homogeneous study. It's the same 200 people coming in and out all the time. What we found in college and things, it just seemed to not give me the answers I wanted. So what we did is I challenged Mark. I was on a car ride, had this epiphany. I said, "Can we predict score in 10 matrix or less?"
Hmm.
Well, we found out we could predict score in about 18. It's moved to about 24 to give a little more insight. But once we understood that we could predict score with our modeling, and the beauty of it, I live in Charlottesville, Virginia. Um, University of Virginia is right here. So we've actually run all of our data and all of our model through their data science program, and they have confirmed that our models are right. They're accurate. I don't think there's a lot of data science companies out there that can say that they've actually been tested outside of in-house creation. And we were like, whoa, this is a new way to be able to understand what performance is and how to train it. And that was the genesis of GameForge.
So you started with less than 10. Now you're the number fails me. 24, you said it was predictors.
There's 24 main metrics that we need to do to be able. Well, technically, we can predict your score fairly accurate, about 85, 90% accurate with three stats.
Really?
Uh, so this is kind of as an entry level. These would be the three stats you would want to pay attention to, which would be greens, scramble, total putts. If you take those three numbers, we can predict your score pretty accurately, but not good enough to really be able to say. So for all those that are shooting in the 90s and the hundreds, if you just track those three stats, how often do I hit the green? When I miss the green, how often do I save par? And then what are my total putts? You get a really good understanding of your game. Total putts. I used to be a hater on total putts. Total putts is brilliant as I've learned the data. I know a lot of people don't like total putts, but total putts is a great predictor of score. You can outlier the heck out of it. Well, so and so just shot this and did this. That's an outlier.
Mhm.
But if you look at it as a metrics over time, it's brilliant. I'll get a lot of hate for that, but sorry.
No, 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 let's do this because I love hate because my podcast here is to bring all of the information to everybody.
Yeah,
It's we're not an echo chamber here. I
I
will have
love it.
so the total putts you are now speaking my language
All
because
right.
the very truth of it. And I'm a really holistic teacher deep down. And I began as the guy who had the way back in the day, I'm dating myself, the Sony Handycam. And all we did was compare one swing to the other. And so I've seen everything from the Handycam era to now where we are with all this 3D mapping and stuff like that. And so I've always got this old school bent to me and then the new school stuff. And so I have strokes gain and all these things you talk about. And I'll never forget Bill Kratzen, who was he was like a mentor to me in my broadcast career. And at the beginning of it all, we were on a TV show together and I'm dropping all these numbers, all the rest of it. And he looks at me and he goes, we go to a commercial break. He goes, the only number that counts. And I was, what's that, Bill? And I said, what, three putt avoidance? I gave him something smart. He goes, no, the number in the bottom right block of your scorecard. Okay.
It really does. And we
So,
forget that a lot of times.
so if with what you say, total putts, I mean, if that number at the bottom right block is 75, if you're taking 35 putts to get that, that is
Ball striking was
limiting
great.
fruit. Exactly,
Your
man.
ball striking was so I can learn a lot. So here's the really funny part. So we created a combination stat. We call it total putts, strokes to green, right? How fast does it take you from the tee box to the green? And then how fast do you get off the green? So we know what those numbers, we created it for high handicappers. We said, if you're a 100 shooter, these are the only two stats you need.
All right.
And basically all you need is your score minus total putts gives you shots to hole. And
Yeah.
then we know the benchmarks. When you shoot a certain number, these are the numbers. You compare it to your benchmark, you know where to go work. Just at
Mhm.
its highest level, my putts are too high, so let's work on putting. Or it's taking me too long to get to the green. Let's figure out what piece is preventing me from getting to the green and let's go work on it. So I think the beauty of the system is everything we've tried to do is just to give players and coaches answers. Here's the deficit, here's their strengths, monitor the strengths, keep them going. The deficits, let's go tackle this. And that, like I said, everything we try to do is just to give answers. We don't want you to have to be a data science professor to be able to navigate systems. We just want to say X, Y, Z, go work on Z.
You know what?
It, that's simple.
It is so rudimentary. It's almost too simple. And as a golf instructor, I've heard countless times is like, it can't be this easy. And I'm like, "Yeah, look, golf is hard, but it is simple if you just think about the mechanics of the thing." And
I
you talk
say
about,
I say scoring is understanding scoring is easy.
Mhm.
Scoring is hard, but
Yeah.
understanding what it takes to score is, yeah, it's not rocket science for golfers.
Well, to that, I'm digressing, but I want to share this and want your take, and then we'll move along. I've given so many lessons to thousands of them. I've taught golf since 1996, for Pete's sake. Um, to like guys who shoot worse, guys and girls who shoot like 100 or 95 or something, and they just want to break 90. I'm like, you realize that if you make 18 times, you're going to shoot 90.
Yep.
So I'm like, if you get to every green in three and you two putt, you're going to shoot 90. And they look at me as if to go, oh my God, heaven has descended to earth.
That's
Yet they
right.
will still get there on the tee and try and wail on drive away. I'm like, you've got three to get to the green. Just make sure you don't three putt or worse.
7 iron, 7 iron, 7 iron. You're on the green. You got a chance to make par. Instead, they watch television, they read the magazines, and
Speeds.
they flare one right. They lose a ball, and then it's quad.
Okay. So let's go ahead. You start off here. You'd send me some notes. So I'm just going to kind of go through them and we'll
Yeah.
just elaborate and go wherever you want. Okay.
All right.
Um, you say we talk the language of offense,
Yes.
making birdie, defense saving par, and noise scoring outside of birdie, par, bogey.
Yeah.
I found that it intrigued me. So I'd love your commentary there.
So we as golf, as instructors and as a group, really like to make things complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Golf is like every other sport. It's a proximity game, right? So let's talk about American football, right? You get across the 50-yard line, your chance to score goes up dramatically. You get into field goal range, your chance to score goes up dramatically. You get inside the 20, Now it's more likely that you're going to score than not. You get inside the 10, it's more likely you're going to score a touchdown than not.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very progressive on how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Offense inside of golf is the same thing. How often do we hit greens? It's important, but proximity of those shots are really important. I know dispersions and percentages are great, but players understand a 20-foot circle. So we have a couple different circles we talk about. We talk about a blackjack circle. That's anytime you hit a green inside of 8 feet.
All right.
Really good chance to make birdie. Why? Because that's like in poker. Blackjack is the only game that is a break even. 8 feet and in is kind of your Mendoza. Those are the putts that you are beating the house on. So
It's
we want to register how often are we inside of 8 feet and what is our conversion rate. So everything we do is opportunity to conversion too, right? How often do I do it and what is my conversion rate? We do a in position circle, which is 20 feet and in. We do an EG circle, which is 20 to 40 feet, like you hit the green, but at distance. And then what we call it out of position when you're outside of 40 feet. So the beauty of making offense is how often do I hit it? Because 85-90% of all birdies come 20 feet and in on the putting green.
mm-hmm.
That's where they come from. So how often do I hit it within 20 feet is a statistic as a competitive player you need to understand. And then what is my conversion rate? Like my opportunities, the average tour pro is going to be about 7 putts inside of 20 feet to make birdie.
Okay.
Average collegian is going to be about 6.5, 7. They're going to kind of be in the same category. Where the tour pro blows the collegian out of the water is they average about 30 putts from 9 to 20 feet percentage wise.
Mm-hmm.
And the average collegian's about 18 to 20. So they're 12% better. So where's the collegian doesn't match up to the tour player? A lot of it is around and on the green, and we can talk about it in the future. But to make offense, we've got to understand how often do we have opportunities. And then if that's not good enough, we also have to know conversion rates. And that's all the kind of stuff that we track inside of GameForge. And the beauty is, if it's a conversion issue, if I'm not making enough between 9 and 20, then we say, is it read, speed, start line, kind of your 3 core of what it takes to make a putt.
Mm-hmm.
We'll test inside the system. We'll start to create a mapping of who the player is. And your journey is set. You start doing this, you start have this understanding. Maybe my speed control is not very good. I'm leaving too many putts short. I'm too, whatever that is. We can diagnose the skills that are missing. And then from there, start to give you some skill pieces to backfill it. And then if you need technical work, find the right coach that can enhance you to whatever you need to get to. So, yeah, I'm sorry, you want to speak? I'll talk a lot. Just stop me.
No, I don't want to cut over you. I was like, you've got me thinking, and I want to run this past you because,
Yeah.
I'm a former college coach like you, and I've seen really talented kids come through here. And you talk about, inside your 20-foot range for the collegian, and heck, for anybody, in my opinion, if you're inside that range, you have an opportunity,
Yep.
right? If you're outside, like you say, if you're outside that range, it's more like you're playing to avoid.
Yeah, the game changes.
Yes, yeah.
It's no longer offense, really. We're
Defensive.
switching to a defensive mode.
Yeah, you're trying to avoid the big number, which to
Mhm.
me, I find it's rampant with even collegians. Isn't it
Oh,
crazy?
you don't even want to know that. I'll give you the numbers in college. The average college player, 3 putts about 1.25 per round.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Well, look, I'm related to a very talented young lady and my daughter who
Yeah.
hits it like she fell out of heaven. And the other day in a tournament, she had 6 3 putts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And they weren't from that far away, by the way. So, but anyway, so I said to him, this is the very talented kid, because he was always in contention but never finishing it. And
Mhm.
I used to have a drill that the team did. I'm like, if you want to win a tournament over the final 9 holes, you basically just have to make putts.
Yeah.
And I had a thing called the hurricane where it was basically a circle around a hole. It went from 1 foot to 2 foot to 3, all the way out to 9 feet.
Yep.
And the goal was to make all of those 9. So basically a couple tap ins and a few of those, sort of the 8 foot range, which you
Yeah.
have to knock in. And he started to do this. And then I spoke to him about making use of the opportunity. So he's hit it inside of your circle, right? And every putt he would hit on the real makeable ones would either be low or it would be a little short. And I'm like, do you understand that you had the opportunity, but it wasn't really an opportunity because you did not give the hole a chance to catch it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure this jives with what you're saying as well, because opportunities, to your observation, are few and far between.
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah, you're getting less than half your, if you think about it, you're getting 7 good opportunities as a high-end player. Maybe like Scheffler is doing stuff a little different. He's kind of through the roof on some pieces, but the you again the width of really high-end competitive golfers is very narrow. Like the best in the world compared to the average tour player, it's about one opportunity per round. Now
Mhm.
that adds up over 4 rounds, and then what conversion rates are, that can be a very big number. But it's very finite on what that is. So every opportunity you have to really take advantage of it. And to give you an idea, distance control and read to me are the holy grails of putting. Start
Yep.
line is what most people talk about because it's the easiest and most tangible to understand. But most players start lines and all are really affected because they have really bad movement, like the way that they move the putter in time. They just ramp up speeds and stuff, so they lose face a lot, and a lot of that is because they don't read the putt very well. So it's this circle of pieces that have to move. And to give you an idea on putting, and this is drills when I do with my players, if we're inside of 10 feet and they leave a putt short, drills over, you failed. Like for my higher end players, like
All
players
right.
in their 70s, right?
Mhm.
If we're not getting it to the hole inside of 10 feet, the best players in the world don't, they leave one putt short out of 100. That's
Oh, you did it?
statistically what's happening.
Okay.
So if we're training and they're leaving putt short inside of 10 feet, drills over. Like I want them out of the mentality of a good putt is dying one revolution in the cup. That's not the definition of a good putt. And then so from 10 to 20, it's 10%. So if we're doing a drill, and or from 9 to 20, it's like I said, it's 10% short. So if they leave one putt short inside of a drill, fine. If they leave two putt, drill's over. Sorry. We're underperforming for what the level we're trying to get to. Now I'm talking, this is high end players, right?
Oh,
Birdie conversation really shouldn't happen with your player. It's going to freak a lot of people out till about 76.
okay.
Birdies kind of don't really do anything until 76. You start to see birdies go like this. So we go from 76, where they're going to be averaging 1.5-ish to 2 per round,
Mhm.
to if you want to shoot par, we're going to be talking around 3. And then we want to start going under par, you're talking 4 or 5 birdies per round. So that's kind of the nature of scoring, where bogeys will just kind of basically at about 72 and some change, birdies and bogeys kind of
The
cross.
crisscross. Yeah. Okay.
But again, so for me as a coach and a player, I need to understand how many birdies, how many opportunity. Like if my player's a good player, but we're not scoring one, what are your birdie total? We're not performing well enough. Now let's go figure out why.
Mhm.
What are your greens at? What are your impositions at? What are your conversion rates at? Where do we need to invest our time? Because again, golf is a time game. Like we can only put so much time. We need to invest correctly on those areas to move them.
Yeah. We're talking about this now, so I want to camp here for a little bit.
Yeah.
And the birdie attempts. Look, I know a lot of golfers listening to this might be bogey shooters or whatever, but the truth of the matter is, if you can hit targets in regulation and have a good short game, you're well on your way to scoring better.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
And so I had a talented kid for a lesson yesterday afternoon, and they had went out and hit, I think it was 13 greens in a round, and not got the most out of it. And
Yeah.
do you understand that this is like elite level stuff? And yet
Doesn't get much better than that.
the mindset of this player was like, well, I got to hit it better. I'm like, oh, goodness gracious me. Anyway, so I showed them some numbers from Arcos
Yeah.
that were like, this is adequate greens in regulation. And they sort of turned their head up to me as if to say, you're a nutcase. I mean, like
Yeah.
a scratch handicap golfer doesn't hit 11 greens in regulation. So I want you to help folks quickly just put that greens in regulation number into
All right.
perspective a little bit, please.
Yeah. So basically, uh, here's the secret. This is something I didn't know 8 years ago.
All right.
If somebody sat across from me 8 years ago and says, Brian Bailie, I want to be scratch. How do I do it?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't answer it. I can answer it today.
All right.
So
Go.
here's how you shoot scratch on average. You're going to hit 12 greens. Of the 12 greens you hit, 50% of those are going to be inside of 20 feet. We call that quality of green. So we track a thing called quality green. How often do I hit the green, but I'm inside that 20-foot scoring zone?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be 50% or better. And of that, I have to make 3 putts. So I make 3 birdies. I miss 6 greens. What I need to do is chip it within 6 feet. We haven't talked defense yet. We're still in the offensive mindset. So the defensive mindset says when I chip, I need to chip it within 6 feet, and I'm at least 3 times, and I have to make that. Then I have 3 bogeys, 3 birdies. I shoot even. That is what the system tells us an average player is. So that's 12 greens. So if I have a player that comes to me at 10 and a half and 11 greens and says, I want to be scratch, we got to find 1.5 greens immediately. That's where, because you can't be so good at putting and so good at short game that you can eliminate Like you cannot close those gaps.
Yeah.
So again, and as you kind of go through, if you're going to be a mid 70s shooter, you're looking at probably 10 and a half greens. If you're going to be kind of breaking 80, we're going to be in the 8, 9. So there is definitely a progression inside of score. We can say when you hit this many greens, this is what we would predict you to score, which again is revolutionary inside of golf. Everything else is, it's a version of something that gets a little conflicted. So we just, like I said, we try to break everything down into its simplest point and say, what is a good day? If you're a mid 70 shooter and you're hitting 10 greens, 11 greens, that's a good day.
Yeah.
If you want to be elite tour player, you're going to be looking at 13 and a half. Nobody averages more on the women's side. A couple of them will average more than that, but not many. So, once you start getting into that 12, 13 category, you're not going to elevate much. Again, if you're thinking percentage of growth, it's not there. It's the supporting pieces. Was it a proximity? Maybe I hit a lot of greens, but maybe I only had 3 or 4 putts inside of 20 feet. So we got to work on proximities, our dispersion rates. Can we control face, path, all that great stuff? Like I said, the journey, what I've learned more than anything, and its concepts are killers. If I believe 13 is not good enough and I'm setting the goal to 15, I've created a prison. I've created a prison that I cannot do. So I'm creating a confab of what is possible, and it's impossible because the best players on earth do not do that. I cannot think that I'm going to do that consistently. I can do it for a tournament, maybe a week or two, but I can't do it for a long period because nobody does. So those are kind of like you as a self-made prison. I'm a short game putting coach set on the side.
Yeah.
When I have free time. So, I always ask questions. What are your make percentages? What do you think's good? Inside of chipping from different lines, what would be a good shot here? And everyone tells me 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet because because I'll probably one putt.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way you're going to put this shot within 3 feet. The best players on tour average 3 feet on 2 lie conditions, 0 to 10, 0 to 10, fringe and fairway. That's it. Everything else, they're outside of 3 feet. So we've put a prison, right? Everything has to be 3 feet. It's impossible.
You add pressure to the shot. I mean, I can't tell you.
We've designed failure.
Well, I can't tell you to that observation how, as an on-course announcer on the PGA Tour, oftentimes I will make the quip, it gets set up by Frank Noblo or someone, and I'm like, well, Frank, to be honest with you, if they get it inside of 5, 6, 7 feet over here, they're doing great. And this is the elite level players in the game.
Yeah.
But I guess if there's a common denominator, and maybe I'm putting the cart in front of the horse here for the talking points. 12 greens is really good to be scratch.
Yeah.
Hitting 50% of those inside of 20 feet is really good too. That's not bearing in mind if greens are real firm and the ball's releasing and it's hard to control and stuff. So I guess the common denominator is still that you got to be sharp around the greens if you want to play at any sort of high level.
Yeah, I always say the number one anchor, and I tell juniors this, so any junior parents, juniors listening to this, collegians that want to play professionally, I love it. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop pushing. Just because you can make that path, but you've got to be honest. Where am I? What does this look like? But chipping and putting is the anchor, disproportionately. The average tour player against some of the best collegians, I'm talking 10, 12% difference in make rates.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, college greens versus pro greens, yes, but pin placements collegiately versus pin placements tour neutralizes perfection of green. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, and again, when we argue that, we're arguing the fringes. The beauty of data science is we take a lot of shots and we can show you what's happening. That is what data science is supposed to be. Where a lot of people go wrong in like reporting systems, here's what your tournament did, and it douses you with information on what just happened. We're a victim to today, what just happened. Data science, and this is where we sit. We want to take a big, long picture of what's happening and say, this is kind of what's happening over time, and here's how we're going to close the gap. So that emotional piece needs to be separated. But I've had many of collegians and trying to play professionally, and that's why most really good collegians, when they come out of tour, the Brysons and the Hovlands, they're outliers. But when most of them come on, it takes them a few years to figure out, hey, I got to be better at putting. I got to be better at chipping. And they figure it out. But I mean, it's chipping wise, the average collegian, they're average inside of 6 feet, which is a huge number. What we call inside the system P6. How often did I chip it within 6 feet when I missed the green? What we learn in college, your P6 rate is your scramble rate. So scramble is anytime I miss the green, do I save par?
Yeah.
that number and their ability to hit within 6 feet is really the only way that they make par. Where the professional separates, they actually hit a little bit better. They hit about 8 to 10% better inside of 6 feet,
Mm-hmm.
but they make a bunch of putts between 7 and 12 that a college player doesn't. So that
Yeah.
falls back into the putting mode, opportunities and conversions. Their conversions aren't good enough. But that's there's are the big separators. And once a player knows that, so as a junior, as a collegian, if you come in my first year at a college player and we say you want to play professionally, here are our goals, and we set the goals to tour, I love it. Here's our goals. Let's start chomping. Let's start segmenting these and let's get there by your senior year. Let's have this number.
Mm.
So the beauty is it's all attainable. It can be done, but like I said, I think a lot of concepts and a lot of belief structure inside of training and what's important and when. Really, as a coach, we need to do a better job just to make sure that we're giving them the right tools at the right time.
You know what you are doing as I listen to you? And
Walk
if
on.
people are really, no, what if people are really, really hearing what you have to say? Because,
Yeah.
everyone kind of has their own personal biases.
Yeah.
And you make such a good point. I mean, in the game right now, if you turn on any golf commercial or if you just happen to get on YouTube and the next thing you're hearing stuff about speed and power off the tee and your strokes go, it's BS. It's selling a bad bill of goods.
This is my new mantra, and I stole this from actually a player.
All right.
We did a whole session, and they're like, "This is the first time I've been taught to score and not to swing."
Okay. Yes. And yes, what you're doing is you're liberating folks because I'll never forget, as a college coach, I watched a young kid named Eric Cole
Hmm.
was playing at Nova Southeastern Division Two program. And every time he hit it, I was like, geez, how's this kid shooting badly? And the next thing I turn around and he shot like 75 or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. He's not on my team. He's playing for the opponents.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy he's doing that because it looks like
Oh yeah.
he's about to shoot the grass off the place. And then, you know, sheer wherewithal, I guess, and he's overcome a bunch of things and he keeps playing and he keeps playing. Next thing, mini tour, forever, forever, forever. And I was on the tour, wins the rookie of the year. Now
Yeah.
I've known Eric since he was a collegian. And so we talk a lot on on the course when I'm out there. And so I get him on the show. And so I ask him, I'm like, Eric, first off, what kept you in it? And
Yep.
he said something to the effect of love for the game. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, what's the difference between going from the mini tour guy who was grinding to the winner to now the contender and rookie of the year on the PGA tour? And he said, honestly, it was reframing my thinking. I'm now paraphrase.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let me have the secret. And he goes, well, if I looked at the world rankings and I was 900 something, and Scotty Scheffler is number one, or whoever it is, he
Mhm.
goes, that seems like it's a bridge that's impossible.
Yeah.
He goes, but the truth of it is, I just realized that in every round of golf, I just had to kind of shoot like maybe 1.5 strokes better each day,
Yep.
and would bridge that gap.
Yep.
And he said, and then the knock on was that allowed me then to perhaps play a bit more patiently when I had to,
Yep.
kind of attack when I had to, because it's not like I've got to do something super special. I've just got to shave one stroke around.
Yep.
And I'm like, for real? And he goes, honestly, he goes, because, any day I can beat Scotty. It's just over the four that's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
I can't beat him for four
yeah.
days.
So
Yep.
what you're saying here basically to folks is if to say, if you get to the real truth, you'll realize that taking giant strides is the function of making really small, kind of simple adjustments because the short game stuff is the low hanging fruit.
It's life. It's the way that, that's the way we learn everything in life. It's like, how do you eat an elephant, right? The old
Yeah,
proverb,
bite at
one
a
bite at a
time.
time. It's like it's incremental growth. What I've learned, and I've been coaching golf now for 30, almost 30 years. I'm getting old. What I've learned is when people train, what do they train? They train what they're really good at because they're really good at it. And then they might backfill something on what happened today. But does that create long-term growth? No, because I'm really good at something. I might get 0.001% better today. Awesome, I got better. But is that tangible into score? Or if I'm reacting today, I hit a really, I had a really bad short game day. Well, was that a ball striking issue? Like you put it just in the wrong spot, so you're blaming your short game, or you blame your putting because you didn't make putts, but I didn't have many opportunities. Like so, a lot. If we get into the emotion of what happens today, we're in trouble because we're reacting to an emotional trigger, and again, when is the last time you made a great decision when you were emotional?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen very often, right? So understanding again what we as coaches and we as players need to learn from the coaches is there's a big spectrum of what it takes to be a great golfer. I call it the decathlon. There's no other sport on earth other than maybe decathletes that are like golfers. Like a decathlete, you have to be really good at 10 events. You don't
Mm.
have to be great at each one, but you have to be good at all of them to be a world-class athlete. To
Yeah.
be a world-class golfer, you have to be good at everything. Now you can be elite at pieces. You can't be elite all the way through. And there's not a single golfer in the world, number one golfer in the world, that's been elite at everything.
Mm.
But they're really good at some pieces, but they're good enough at other pieces that they're not losing ground.
Yeah.
Like where does Scotty Scheffler? Like, I don't think people appreciate what Scotty's doing right now. Inside of the system, we have what we call a GameForge index. It takes every matrix we measure and we put a score value to it.
All
So
right.
how well is he hitting fairways in positions, and we give a score value to it. Scotty Scheffler's report looks like what it takes to win on tour. So we track every winner on tour and we compare, and we can talk our way through stuff like that. And like I said, we can do a sidebar and we can kind of show you some of this stuff. But what Scotty is doing right now, ball striking wise, is just through the roof. He's averaging 4 putts inside of 8 feet,
Mm.
blackjacks. The average top 10 player that's averaging about 2 under. Scotty's averaging about 3.5 to 4. Where he's separating, he has 4 attempts. The average top 10 player is at 2.5. So
Mm.
he's making, now he doesn't convert at a high enough rate on the short birdie putts. Okay. But he has such a high opportunity, it doesn't matter. He's not converting at a low rate. He's converting right around average for PGA Pro, but he's not excelling. If he was, I mean, he would be doing something that
Yeah.
nobody on earth has ever seen. But his putting is average for a tour player, but he doesn't have to be great because
Mm-hmm.
his opportunity numbers for scoring are just ridiculous. And his short game is just unbelievable, his ability to proximity wise. So that's how he does it. And it's like I said, I hear all these people going, Scotty's a bad. No, he's an average tour putter. He's average. He's not a great tour putter, but he doesn't have to be because the other parts are so good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Now, if his ball striking gets a little bit worse with what he's doing now, he'll fall pretty quickly because his opportunities and conversions won't match. Maybe his conversions get higher. So there's chances to change on how we play. The beauty of the system is we don't stay the same. Pieces are going to move over time, and we've got to recognize pieces moving and kind of change our teaching and whatnot to kind of evolve as an athlete and to get them better. But when I sit and watch all these guys saying what a bad putter Scotty Scheffler, I'm like, he's not.
Yeah.
He's average. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be average because his ball striking is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like, it's
exactly.
just ridiculous.
I want to say this. There's 2 points I want to make. I'm likely to
Yeah.
forget the second one, so forgive me.
No,
The first
please.
one is this, and this is the golf teacher deep down, the golf instructor. Whenever I've worked with any sort of player, I hold my feet to the fire and I'm like, look, you should hit the ball better right away. You shouldn't get worse before you get better. If you're getting worse, I'm giving you bad stuff. All right.
Yes.
So now, but as you start hitting it better, the ball will travel differently and your biases, your mistendencies will begin to change a little bit.
Yeah.
So as a result, alignment on the golf course, to not to do it, but to trust it becomes wildly difficult
Yes.
until you develop that. So as a result of all of that bad news I've just given you, good news slash, tainted, I'm like, you better get to practicing your short game if you want to keep your scoring up, because you can go and hit the thing better all day long and make bogeys because you're making these little paper cuts and paper cuts and paper cuts because you just missed and you haven't saved. So I guess in all of it here, I say to people, if you want to make fewer big numbers, those big ones, 6, 7, 8, drive the ball in play more.
Yep.
You want to make more small numbers, like 3s and 4s, you better get good at shot number 3.
Yeah.
So I'm getting right back to everything you're saying over here.
Yeah. Shot 2 and shot 3 is golf, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Shot 2 is my approach. Approach is scoring, right? Approach is everything, right? And this, all right, all right, for all you swing Nazis out there, you're gonna hate me. Get ready for this one.
Here we go.
Let's create hate. I love hate. And I'll even give you my email and you can rip on me all you want. The worst predictor of score that exists is fairways.
Accuracy.
Yeah, just hitting
Okay.
fairways.
All right.
The worst predictor of score. Does that mean fairways are not important? No.
Mm-hmm.
Fairways are only important if they're taken away from your ability to hit shots, hitting the green and inside of 20 feet. So here's the best stat on earth, right? If you're shooting mid 80s, you're probably hitting more fairways than the best players on tour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So So to me, approach is the center hub of scoring. So I have an approach shot. Now, if I'm hitting wild tee shots that are taking penalties or putting me behind trees and I can't play the hole as designed, that is punishing. Fairways hurt. Approach shots are, but if I'm having the ability to hit approach shots and I'm not hitting enough greens, my approach game's not good enough. If I have, and then what is that proximity from the green? Those are all important pieces. Like, so the hub of scoring really is your approach game. I'm a putting coach, I'm a short game coach.
Mm-hmm.
In the pantheon of importance, I'm like 4, 6. Like inside of the coaching world, I'm like 4, 6. I'm really important when you're getting into the 70s where we're going to start pulling those pieces off. But the swing coaches off the tee are really important in the beginning, starting to take that dispersion rate. 80 shooter is going to be like 15% like dispersion rate. That's a big number. Tour player. Well, God, I'm gonna create all kind of hate. The average tour player is about 9% dispersion.
Yeah.
Out of number here because that's all shots coming out of the fairway, coming out of rough bunkers. It's about 9%. The number you hear a lot of time thrown around is 5%. That's when they hit the green. It's a 5% accuracy piece. But
Yeah.
overall, they're about a 9% accuracy piece. So again, understanding what lie conditions are and how they're going to affect and putting pieces in the right position, like that is the approach game, sets all that up. Like if I'm in rough, I know I'm going to lose a certain amount of dispersion. If I train it, I know what the rough's going to do to me. Maybe I lose some dispersion rate. Now I can make a better targeting guess. But when I target it, I want to end up over here because that gives me the best chance to get up and down. That's learning to score, where most players just think flag, think this, don't think of lie, don't think of conditions, don't think of all the decathlete, don't think of all the pieces that lead into that. And then they put themselves in more and more trouble. So again, understanding how to score is understand. And here's again where we separate it from shots gain. Shots gain is a model where you compare against others.
Yeah.
What we do is we compare against you. So inside of our system, when we talk about, we have something that we call basically kind of score matrix for each player, score impact. And we say, how valuable is it for you to hit the fairway? Your score and somebody else's score is completely different because we take all your stats, all your conversion rates, all your opportunities, and we produce a number for you. And so some players, it's really important to hit the fairway. Some players, like Hovland, it doesn't really matter. He scores almost the same out of the fairway as with the rough. It's a very tight number. For like a Brian Gay, that was a shorter hitter, that was a huge number.
Yeah.
Like for him coming out of the rough versus the fairway is two different games. And we do the same thing for approaches. When you hit the green, when you miss the green, what is that value? Again, for an elite player, I need to know that as a coach, as we're coming up with targeting mark, figuring out where to actually hit our marks. We got to make sure that we're stacking as much as we can for that athlete to perform how they need to.
Yeah.
It's not a guess. We know what it looks like. This is what it will take. So we need to come up with a situation to create this. And we can train for that. I've heard birdies are luck. They are when you get on the green. There's again, from 9 to 20 feet, the best in the world are only making 3 out of 10. There is a luck component on the sheer fact that only 3 out of 10 go. But we can set up a system to give ourselves the opportunities we need. And if we give ourselves enough opportunities, just playing percentages, we'll hit our numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that I think when a lot of coaches say birdies are random-ish, not really. I'm coming up with an entire system to try to put myself in a certain number of opportunities to create birdie, and I should see this. So I hate when an athlete or a player comes to me and goes, well, it's just random. No, it's not. The ball going in the hole becomes more random. And a kind of a sidebar, I'm sorry, I'm ADD ridden, so I go everywhere. A sidebar is when you kind of talked about inside of putting, if you're really good at start line and you're really good at read and you're really good at speed, at 9 to 20 feet, if you miss one of those three, if you're off, you miss the putt.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the meanness of golf. The better my skill sets get, when a skill set breaks, I miss. So putting, so the best players in the world, when a skill set's broken, they make a bad read, they make a bad speed of the roll, or their start line's off, they miss. But the beauty is they're so skilled and they understand that they can fix that. Okay, I misread it. For some reason I ramped up the speed or whatever. They're so good that they'll fix it. The problem with most aspiring good golfers is they don't understand the skill sets and they can't fix it in round. And then they're starting to make bad decisions and they're changing things on the fly that might help, might not, but then they're taking whatever they've created and they're making it a Frankenstein And
Mm-hmm.
that's why they don't get better, is they don't understand the skills to get better. They're putting Band-Aid on a Band-Aid and it just gets ugly. So I always tell the harshness of this game, as you get better, as skill pieces break, you will fail, but you can fix immediately, opposed to the player that doesn't know.
I love that, and I'm trying my best while I was listening to all of your wisdom there to remember the point that I wanted to make.
Sorry.
And here's the thing: you talk about this. Well, first off, you say the three things required to make the putts. I am still a firm believer in the fact that in all of my years I've been in golf since 1980 something.
Yeah.
I've never seen the hole come back to the ball. Now, look, there's certain situations. So, as far as your opportunities go, when you're inside 20 feet, at least give the hole a chance to catch the ball.
Please.
Okay.
That's why I said inside of drills earlier,
Yeah.
you've got to ingrain your athlete to get the ball through the hole.
And then I want to ask you this, because a lot of folks are listening to you going, all right, are you already saying this makes a lot of sense? I'm kind of going there, but I'm still stuck with my anchor, which means that I need to get more powerful off the tee, because strokes gain says that the closer I am to the target, the easier it is to hit close, which is logical. So
Can be.
help us over there, because I feel like people chasing speed and power, look, it's beneficial, but it's no real guarantee. So what's your retort there?
There's definitely no. So here's the problem with gaining distance. It's important, yes, but what we found inside of GameForge, I might be wrong. I will confirm. I will verify if I'm wrong, but I think this is the number off the top of my head. I think as every 10 yards of distance we gain, if we gain more than 4 or 5% dispersion rate on top of that, so every 10 yards I gain, I can gain a little bit of dispersion. But if
Yeah,
I get higher than 5% dispersion as I keep gaining 10 yards, it's not worth it.
gotcha.
So here's the fallacy. The further I get, if I'm in the rough, it matters. It does matter. Now, some athletes, it's less.
Mm-hmm.
But what we've learned, like I said, we train proximity circles. So out of the rough at 100 yards is almost like hitting 180 out of the fairway with the same average proximity,
You
right?
kidding? Say that again. Say that again, please.
Hitting out of the rough at 100 yards for most, not now, there are outliers, and
Mm-hmm.
you can write on me and hate on me. It's fine. I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Yeah.
But the math showed us that it's about 80 yards different on tour from being in the rough to hitting out of the fairway. So what is a tour player hitting from 180? 8 iron.
Yeah. Ish.
They're hitting some sort of wedge at 100 yards. So it's not a full wedge. It's a version of. So
Mm-hmm.
the average proximity actually is about 80 yards.
Right.
So,
Wow.
so when people say fairways are not important, like we say for predicting score, but fairways are super important if it's taken away from our proximity chances.
Mm-hmm.
So so here comes the full swing guys coming back. You are super important. The the ability for your athlete to hit the fairway is ultra important, unless it's not. Again, there are outliers. I get it. There are outliers. There's certain dudes, certain women that just it doesn't matter, right? It's okay. Like their dispersions are good enough. So, like I said, we track dispersions inside of the system. So we actually say we can tell you what percentage of shots from each distance been from 0 to 10 all the way out to 250 yards. How many of those shots should be within 20 feet? The
Mm-hmm.
Mendoza line for 50-50 is about 130. So at
Yeah.
130 yards, you should have 50% of your shots inside of 20 feet and 50% outside of 20 feet. So this goes back into how can we make birdie? I love talking offense. Trust me. Most people want to talk defense. I love talking offense. So in my head, I'm like, if we can get to a point where we know at 130 yards, 50, 55 inside of training, maybe we're up to 60% of our shots inside of 130 or 20 feet and in, man, it's a go. Like go, 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 go. Like we're not hitting away from stuff because I know at a certain percentage, I cannot but hit 20 feet and in. So
Mm-hmm.
again, by training, by building the understanding of what I'm capable of and applying that when you play, I mean, it really takes the myth and the mysticism of golf away because I know what I'm capable of. I need to put myself in positions that I'm very capable of scoring. And if I can put myself in those positions, boy, golf is fun. Problem is we don't put ourselves in positions we're really good at. We're putting ourselves in positions where we don't train and we're not very good at. Golf is very hard.
Mm-hmm. Okay, a couple more questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go. You've been fantastic. Um, First off, let's just a pure mechanics thing. Actually, no, I want to go to the 130-yard observation, which I love. So you said, that's the Mendoza line. If you 50-50 there inside of 20 feet, you're basically on the good end of stuff.
Yep.
Um, People, I think, hear that and then they go like flag hunting. But inside of 20 feet, like if it's cut four paces off the left hand edge of the green, there's a bunker
Yeah.
down there. 20 feet right of the flag, so you've moved your target, is the natural smart play.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. So, kind of what we say inside of anything inside of the scoring system, what you need to do is make sure that we hit the green, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, so green in regulation
Green
first.
in regulation is huge. That is scoring, right? But we got to have a certain number inside of 20 feet. So if a pin's tucked and I'm a certain shape player, I want to make sure that my 20-foot ring, if I hit a really good shot, which I should be, I'm hitting more than not inside of this ring. I want to make sure that ring is on the green. So
Yeah.
maybe I do have to aim a couple feet left or a couple feet right because I need to understand that. Something we talk about in GameForge all the time. We've created videos and we're getting ready to drop this in the system. We do finger dispersions from the fairway. Each finger is roughly 3%, right? The average tour player is 5 to 6%. So in the fairway, you could hold up two fingers, kind of like aim point. You've seen on putting on the green, people hold up the fingers.
Okay.
You can take this to the fairway, say, take two fingers. If I'm a draw player, a right-handed draw player, I'm taking out to the right, bring it back left. I can put up two fingers right of the flag and say, that is my average dispersion.
Hmm.
That's when I hit it really good. 9 would be average for all shots. 4 would be 12, which is as bad as tour players hit it. Tour players, basically 99.9% of all of their shots are within 12%. Roughly 89, 90% are within 3, 56 are within 2. So you hold up your finger dispersions and you can really start to predict what my shape shot is. So there's your targeting piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's other systems that tell you how to target by whatever. Hold up your fingers. Those are your dispersion rates. So I can actually make informed decisions on where to target and how to target by holding up fingers and seeing pieces slide over. I saw Keegan Bradley do that in the fairway a couple weeks ago. They had a picture of him holding up fingers in the fairway. It's brilliant.
Okay.
I
So
mean, that's allowing you to take what you train and apply it on the golf course and apply a better way of doing it.
so it's easy if you're going at the flag. You can put your finger over the on the
Yeah.
flag and then you move. So
Yeah.
in the fairway, if you're in the fairway, you just go from the middle of the fairway and you measure it that way too.
Yeah. You come off the tee box. So tee box, I do 3 fingers and you would adjust what's my normal shape shot.
Yeah.
And this is where training is important. I've got to train and understand what are my, and TrackMan's flight scopes. They're all great at this, but you can hold up fingers. Doesn't cost 20K. Good Lord gave you 3 of them. You can actually hold up and actually predict your lateral dispersions. And again, if I know that 50% of my shots are inside of 20 feet and I know it's within a certain dispersion rate, I know my shot shape is a right to left. So my miss is going to be what? A push or
Yeah.
face and path kind of match to push. So I want to make sure that when my push is going to be in the outer edge of my target. So even when I hit a push, I'm in play. I'm on the green. So again, when you start to understand the numbers, you can apply very simple applications to get better. I've had a lot of college players using it. It's actually starting to show up in the tour. We're getting ready to shoot a video series next week here in Charlottesville. We're going to expand this a little bit more. I'm not a full swing guy, but it applies short game. It applies everywhere. But it gives you that good sense of, again, what everything we need to do is what is our number we're trying to achieve, what are these dispersion rates or what are the proximity, we have all that for you. What do I need to train to? Let's train to it. Maybe I start at 4 fingers and our goal is to get to 3 fingers, and we go to 3 fingers and we go to 2 fingers. A 100 shooter is a 20
Yeah.
20% dispersion rate. It's massive,
Yeah.
right? So if each one of these are 3, so 5 is 15. So that is your average dispersion wherever you stand in the fairway that you are from a flag stick. You stand at 150 yards and you hold up 8 fingers and you're like, that's like 3 green widths wide. That's
Yeah.
why I don't hit greens, because I'm not good enough at controlling the golf ball. So
Gotcha.
again, it's understanding scoring is super duper easy. Scoring is hard. The application of golf is challenging, but there's no reason that if a schlub like me can understand how to score, everyone should be able to understand how to score it. And again, get rid of a lot of the conventional wisdoms, get rid of a lot of the complexity that we've tried to add. Some of us just to make us sound smart, or some of us just because we don't know, but let's rip apart all these constructs that are holding us back, and let's actually get players thinking score and how to score. And
Yeah.
if score is their goal, the training path, all the pieces fall into place. The worst thing we can do as a coach is take a piece that's not very important right now and spend our time there.
Yeah. Okay. Got to ask the follow up to your fingers thing because
Yeah.
I know just enough about aim point to be dangerous. So
Yes.
if I'm doing the target, is it like with a straight arm, or do I keep the arm bent, or is it just relaxed out?
It's relatively straight on. Here's the beauty of the system. Everyone's finger, so it might be 3%, it might 2.5%. It doesn't matter. If you're training with your fingers and you understand inside of training, when I hit 10 balls at this distance, 7 out of 10 end up within 3 fingers. So now I can apply that. When I go to the golf course, I'm at this distance. I know 70% of my shots are going to end up within these 3 fingers, however I lay it out.
Yes.
What
Okay.
is that for confidence? Oh
Oh,
my
man,
God. I know 70% of the time I'm going to pull this off, opposed to, uh-oh.
you've just
Well,
unshackled so many golfers, yeah, man. You've taken the handcuffs off. Okay.
that's what we're trying to do. We
Right.
we want
Well,
everyone to love this game as much as I do.
cool. Well, your passion is palpable. And then okay, one more thing: the
Yes.
GameForge app.
Yeah.
The Obviously, the more data you have in there, the more the predictors,
Yeah.
are appropriate. But I'm guessing that as soon as the folks listening or watching this go and get it, they could it'll start making proper advisements to them right away just because of the change of thinking. Yes.
Yeah. I always say the language that we talk about when we talk about offense, what it takes, when is it important, defense, how often do I hit it within 6 feet when I miss the green? How often do I hit it within 12 feet? Those are the big proximity things we talk about. Noise is crazy. Eagles, though. We didn't talk about that, but you can bring me back and see it's a
Yeah.
segue.
Well,
So I'm trying to hook my way back into this.
you got it.
So there's lots of opportunities, but once you get about 8 to 10 rounds in the system, which in the summertime
Is
shouldn't
easy.
take very long. Once you get 8 to 10 rounds in the system is very set. And it'll really start to be out, and there's skills, drills, it'll start spitting out for you inside the system. But again, all the pieces, like everything becomes self-evident. And that's what we want. When we built the system, our ethos was we want everyone to have the same information. Now, if a player doesn't want to go deep in it, fine, you don't have to. There's some very high level, easy stuff to read, but we didn't want to hide any piece. We wanted to be the truth tellers and say, here are the pieces that have to move. This is what it looks like. The round entry takes about we have 3 different segments of entry.
Yeah.
Really short, quick for high handicappers, and we have kind of a 2 minute 80 shooter. And then once we get in the 70s, it might take 4.5, 5 minutes for a round.
Hmm.
So we've really stripped back that piece. And I'm a big fan of and talking with Dr. Mike, and I have another guy named Gareth McShay in Ireland that does a lot of learning stuff with me. Um, that reflection period after a round to sit down and actually input a round is huge. The
Beneficial.
worst thing you can do, like any learning system, there has to be a feedback loop. The problem is a lot of time when we play around, if we don't have that feedback loop and think about what happened. So as I'm putting in data, I'm going, well, I could have played that different. And then 5 or 6 shots come in my head, what I could have done different. I've created a feedback loop. I've created learning. What's problem with a lot of systems, or if their parents are putting in stuff, the kid's not doing it or whatever, that feedback loop's not there. We're not learning. We're
Mm.
just doing. And that's why we make the same error time and time and time again, is because we haven't learned from it. So, I know people don't like statting. I get it. I used to have to threaten kids at the college level to make sure they get their stats in.
I was
Like,
that guy, man. Gee whiz.
yeah, I would literally have to threaten them to do it. But once you get them in and they start to see the progress and they understand what it takes for them to move, they'll buy in. And it to me, that is a huge piece. And that's a piece that you gotta kind of, as a player, you gotta have that reflection period, because inside of all drills, there has to be, like, my favorite short game drill on earth is when you play around, and I used to do it with my college players all the time. you know, I had 5 opportunities to get up and down today. I only got up and down 2. All right. The 3 that you missed, let's go over to the short game facility and let's recreate it to the best of our ability. Now give me 3 or 4 shots you could have played from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the player will go over there immediately, hit 3 or 4 different shots. Well, that one worked a lot better. What did
Let's
you just do?
learn.
I just created a learning loop.
Yeah.
So the next time in there, that situation, they're like, oh, I remember this. The worst thing we can do is go, well, that was just not good. Well, let's go figure out what could we have done different, and so pieces like that. And that's kind of the beauty of the system is you'll see the way my brain works and Mark Sweeney's brain works. Everything is very logical and progressive on how to get better. Like it is I've been I coached collegiately for almost 20 years. Mark, aim point, he's coached some of the best players in the world inside of putting. Like, we have a wealth of knowledge. So this system was built by golf coaches, which is,
Yeah.
again, kind of unique inside of our niche field of stat. Most stat companies are usually created by data scientists and not golfers. So we always do a gut check. this is really cool. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Because you can make numbers sing, and we're like, that makes no sense. Like, let's go back and refigure that. So the beauty of the system, again, it's being filtered through a lot of knowledge, and we have a lot of high end coaches that use us, and I'm on phone calls all the time, just trying to make us better and how we can be different.
Well, you my goal behind this podcast is to introduce the bright mind. We'll
Yeah,
call him Brian. To introduce the information because information is rampant right now, and most folks are taking other people's medicine half the time.
yeah,
And they wonder why they're struggling, and then to bring them to a point of understanding. And with what you're doing here, it is logical is the correct term, and that's where understanding begins. So I appreciate you. I
no
guess
problem.
then I want you to sign off with like, where do folks go to get GameForge? So tell us about that.
Yeah, you go to mygameforge.com. We give you 30 days free to give us a shot if you like it. We do have an iOS app as well to support. We do not do Android, sorry. Inside the system, we have like 11 people that use Android. So we have not built an Android app just
Mhm.
on the sheer fact that we just don't have enough users. You can input through the website or the phone app via iPhone. You can find us at Fuel Golf TV. So if you want to learn more about performance, you can go there. I do have a side hustle, not a side hustle. It's a new passion. I call it Golf Cask.
Uh,
It's whiskey and golf blended together. I'm a huge whiskey fan.
okay.
Look behind me. I have about 130 bottles on the wall. I have
Uh,
my putting green. This is my putting studio, my podcast studio. Um, I'm kicking this off. It's kind of a slow rollout right now, but if you're a whiskey and a golf fan, go to golfcast.tv, sign up for free. There's some content, and I'm bringing data science into the golfing and whiskey world, which is just the way my brain works. Sorry, I had to plug that. It's to
I
me,
need
it was a
to visit you.
passion. I discovered whiskeys in COVID because, come to find out, in the state of Virginia, the ABC employees were essential employees.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started drinking lots of alcohol during COVID, which drank responsibly, golf responsibly. But to me, that was my learning piece, right? Like I golf, and oh wow, all these whiskeys are different. Set me off on a weird path. Sorry, I just had to throw that in. Just
Look, if you play golf and you don't lie bet, then I think you're not doing it correctly. So
I agree. I agree.
what if they just want to find you? Do you do social media or something like that?
Yeah. Instagram, Golf Cask, My Game Forge, Fuel. You can email me at brian@mygameforge.com. You can find me on YouTube for different pieces and whatnot, but I'm not hard to find. I'm also an aim point instructor, so you can find me on the aim point website. Uh, yeah, I love golf. If you have a passion for golf and, if anybody needs help kind of going where you need to go, just reach out. We're here to help.
You're the best, man. I certainly appreciate your time, and I just appreciate your approach.
I appreciate. Yeah, thank
I,
you.
on my laptop here, one of the screensavers, I have multiple, and they remind us for me is the instructor inside, and it was by Albert Einstein. And he's like, if you can't explain something simply, you really don't know the concept of it. And
Yeah,
you are onto something. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening.